I just thought I might make a video of a CenturyLink long lines tower I seen for my Rose Hill series. So yeah, we was going to Rose Hill to visit a dead AT&T long line site because I wanted to get some souvenirs of a dead AT&T long lines tower. So we took a few hours away road trip to Western Ohio, and then along the way I wanted to visit a few tower sites like a dead Western Union tower site and like another AT&T long lines tower site. And then there was another dead tower along the way I wanted to visit too. So yeah. Now for some reason we wanted to go to a restaurant when we was leaving, so it had us take a different route when we was leaving, so we just happened to go through a town. So I was filming some towers, 2 cell towers and 2 water towers. Well, the two cell towers have LEDs. So I turn around and I see a microwave tower on the other side, so I assumed it was going to be a DP&L microwave tower for that Dayton Power and Light Company. But then I pulled out my long lines maps because, I take them with me during my road trips. So it turns out it was actually a CenturyLink long lines tower. Now, the thing about CenturyLink long lines towers is all their towers have working old school incandescents. Could you see, CenturyLink, they repurposed all their microwave towers, like there's an antenna somewhere right there. And instead of giving their towers modern beacons, they still continued with their old school incandescents. So if you guys see a CenturyLink long lines tower with an old school incandescent, it's most likely a working old school incandescent. And believe it or not, but CenturyLink is the only company that has a working old school incandescents on their long line sites. AT&T long lines towers, some of them might still have working incandescents, but probably not. So yeah, we just happened to go through a town that's got CenturyLink long lines towers. So when I saw it on the map, I was like, we had to stop at the site. So yeah, so I told my mom if she could stop me at the site so I can look at it up close. Well, when we pulled up in the driveway, the gate to it was actually left open, so I decided to squeeze through the gate and actually get a close-up of this tower. So yeah, the tower was really abandoned in rough conditions and stuff, but if you haven't seen my video of a CenturyLink long lines tower close-up, that's this tower. So yeah, it's really nice surprise to run into, like another long lines tower on the way home. It's a nice little visit to run into. So yeah, the property was abandoned. Now, a thing about the old school incandescent on this tower was the top bulb was actually burned out. So yeah, and it also had a broken filter too, because part of it shined yellow. Now the bottom half of the old school incandescent still worked. But here's a crappy picture I took of the tower when I first seen it. So yeah, it's a very bad picture, but that's when I first discovered that tower. Well, I found it like a long time ago when I first did my long lines tower maps. It was built in the 70s, but yeah, so when I seen it, its markers were still working. Well, I didn't really pay attention to its markers, but if it has an old school incandescent that's still working, it probably does have markers. So yeah, it was a cool visit to see on the way home, and there's a couple of our antennas. Now, I was gonna climb the tower when I first visited it, but it turns out I looked up at the tower and there was a small antenna on it that was active. So I didn't really want to climb it after I see the antenna, but if there was no one there, like at the place in front of it, I would have been climbing the tower, just to see what it's like on the top. Because the property is abandoned, but, it was a cool visit to see on the way home. So, at least I got a close-up of it and I got to touch the tower before. Now, I also went inside the building, too, because that was left open. Well, the doors on the building were actually busted off. So that tells you CenturyLink must have took all the stuff and equipment scrapped out on their towers. So yeah, there's no one near me, but it's still fenced in.